films, and but I did work with another crew that did the Ron Howard movies too, and that supervisor's name is Chick Ciccolini. So I worked with a few different groups of people.
That's amazing, man. It's just like an amazing sort of. You've kind of had two really interesting, careers. Both sides. In terms of, well, really three if you think about it. I mean, you put out a.
You're watching QPTV Daily Social Live, QPTV.org's live show. I'm your host for today, James. Let's get started because we've got a lot to cover. We have a ton of resources, information, links. Let me turn down that there. Links and videos on COVID-19 and especially COVID-19 in Queens. QPTV's on Queens Conversations and Queens Perspectives has an ongoing series of episodes focusing on COVID-19 in Queens. Go to qptv.org to check it all out. We have here for you today. NYC is providing in-home COVID-19 vaccinations. That is the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. To eligible NYC residents who are fully homebound, have not already been vaccinated, and who do not already have access to a vaccination program. There's the information on the screen. We'll try to link this up for you later. Be right back. Actually, jumping ahead of ourselves. There's a lot to watch on QPTV. There's also a lot to watch here on QPTV.org. Here, you can watch any of QPTV's original productions anytime. You can also watch live events brought to you by QPTV from your favorite institutions and updates from elected officials. You don't want to miss any of it. Subscribe, follow, everything. Subscribe, follow, like, share. Visit qptv.org/newsletter to subscribe to our newsletter. That way you don't miss a single update.
QPTV Radio is on the air, providing community-centered programming from Queens Public Television in New York City. QPTV Radio offers an interesting and eclectic mix of unique content, from QPTV's original podcasts to audio versions of our award-winning television programs. Listen to QPTV Radio at qptv.org or download the Live 365 on your mobile device.
And of course, once again, go to qptv.org for all that information. And again, today is actually another day, Daily Social Live experimentation. We have a different setup here today. You can't tell from this, I guess, unless you're really looking closely, and I hope. But there is a little bit of a difference, and we're trying something new here. So bear with us if some of these scenes don't load correctly. But since it's a live streaming show, I like to take advantage of the fact that that's exactly what it is. Not anything goes, but it's all fun. It's all an experiment. We got a big show today, so I'm not gonna waste any more time explaining what's going on. It's all an illusion. Queen's Conversations. They're live this Thursday. It's a great episode. Not unlike the rest of the episodes, which are great. In fact, Queen's Conversations is a live talk show featuring QPTV's award-winning production and hosting team, Lucia, Noran, and John Collins, having discussions with a diverse spectrum of Queens residents and leaders. Every topic is incredibly relevant, and every discussion is enlightening. Over 100 years ago, suffragettes and their supporters succeeded in passing the 19th Amendment, giving women the right to vote. Their struggle for equality, diversity, and inclusion continues to this day. Although women constitute almost 53%, see what I mean, of our population. I'm having difficulty with my thing here. One second, folks. See what I said? I was right. Okay. All right. Over 100 years ago, suffragettes and their supporters succeeded in passing the 19th Amendment, giving women the right to vote. Their struggle for equality, diversity, and inclusion continues to this day. Although women constitute almost 53% of our population, many industries and enterprises do not reflect this percentage and remain significantly male-dominated. This episode of Queen's Conversations will feature two. Excuse me. This is where I'm having an issue where it's jumping around. Okay. So yeah, having major issues with this image here. I'll try to do it from a different machine. Bear with me. Okay. Okay, I see what the issue is here. Let's go to a promo quickly. Let's bring this up on the screen so you get an idea what you should be looking for until I can get this fixed, and you can catch us on Thursday. Okay. All right. I won't be able to read everything that's on the screen for you today. We're having a bit of an issue with that. So I will do it without reading the prompter today. At least I'll try. But anyway, without saying, we have this amazing episode of Queen's Conversations this Thursday. It is... Let's bring it up here. They're celebrating Women's History Month. And these... Let's see. I'm trying to find the information. Okay. We'll have it for you tomorrow for sure. And all throughout the week until the episode. It's just not coming up for me, unfortunately. I will bring it up and we'll post it up on the website later today. Let's move on to the next scene. And of course, as we were saying, it's Women's History Month on QPTV. And we wanted to show you a little episode of Power Women of Queens, which features one of the guests on Thursday's show. And I have a whole write-up, but I can't read it for you today because of the issues. But what we'll do, we'll go straight to the video so you can take a look. Please enjoy.
All these years, I should have been playing football. I shouldn't have let anyone tell me I can't play because I'm a girl. Football is straight. It's powerful, it's strong, and it's happy, and it's sad, all mixed up together in one. And it's the voice for everybody. Football led me to my inner strength. And then once I found my own inner strength, now I had to shout it from the mountaintops to all little girls. Biggest mistake in my life, staying with someone that was abusive. Don't know why, but I think that had I not gone through that experience, I wouldn't be where I am today, possibly. Coming through there just brought back so many memories.
Is it memories from the New York Jets or football in general?
Memories from the New York Jets. Yeah, when I'm on a stadium, on a field like this is all about the New York Jets. Women's pro football doesn't have anything remotely close to like this, this kind of excellence.
Let me rewind a little bit. So when you were a kid growing up, who was the first person or an event that inspired you to go into football?
You know what? I don't think it was one person, or I could say it might have been the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Dallas Cowboys rivalry years ago with my dad and I watching football. So I think I just like the bond of my father and I watching football.
Was he supportive of you playing football?
He wasn't. I can't say yes or no. It just was kind of like girls don't play, but we watched football together. So that was our bonding time.
So when was the first time you really started seriously think about football?
Never until I was 42 years old.
Wow.
42 years old when I heard about women's pro football. Prior to that, I only liked or thought I could only watch it. I could only be in the bleachers or in the stands. And when I heard about women's pro football, I was 42 and I took it seriously at that point.
Football seems very charged, that word for you. What does it represent, really?
Strength.
Why do you think you need that strength?
I think for too many years, all women, girls, I think that we're just told to sit back and be quiet, and really not fight for what we believe in. Our voice is not that important. being a girl, being a woman. At least that's what I thought. I just kind of always thought if I was somewhere, I was allowed to be here. And I think football let me know I can go anywhere I want. And it's powerful. Football is inner strength. It's powerful and it's strong and it's happy and it's sad, all mixed up together in one. And it's the voice for everybody. Football led me to my inner strength. And then once I found my own inner strength, now I had to shout it from the mountaintops to all little girls. So for me, it's all about helping them out now, helping out the next person. And the next persons are these kids that need us to be supportive. Coming out, talking to them, letting them see someone that looks like them, that they can relate to. When they see me and they know that not only did I play pro football for a women's league, to be the first female coaching for the New York Jets in franchise history, it gives them hope. It opens up the doors of imagination for what they can do. Because this is not supposed to be possible, but it is.
When was the moment, or was it a moment that you felt, okay, I made it. Yes, that's what I wanted and I got it?
That's a good question, because I think for me, I had a few of those I made it moments. Because each time I thought I made it or did something powerful, there was a bigger moment afterwards because of that first moment. So I want to say, like, I think when the head coach of the New York Jets calls you up and says, Colette, what do you think about being our coach this summer? That for me was making it, you know? And then after getting to the camp and being there at the camp with all the players and all the coaches, then I was like, wow, I made it, I'm here, you know? And then calling my dad to say, guess where I am? That was a make it moment, you know? So there's so many, you know? And then I think also when I get to visit a school and I have a whole auditorium full of little girls, you know, little black girls, little Hispanic girls that are trying to make ends meet and decipher life. And I'm talking to them, then I made it. So it's like all these moments are, each little moment just makes bigger times, you know, that are positive.
I know football is male-dominated, extremely male-dominated industry. What were some of the challenges that as a woman you encounter?
I think some of the challenges are people just really not believing that we actually do it, and them just not wanting to take the time out. I don't think for the most part, and I don't want to bash men, but at the same time, women aren't getting their due respect. So for instance, when I say I played football, they might say, oh, flag. Not that there's anything wrong with flag, but why wouldn't you think I would play real football?
What is the thing that frustrates you the most?
I think just not being considered equal by most people. I think having to prove yourself over and over and over and over again frustrates me the most.
What is the biggest mistake or a failure that you've learned so much from it?
I think choosing the wrong guy to date. Biggest mistake in my life, you know, staying with someone that was abusive. And I didn't leave. Don't know why, you know, but I think that it's probably what has shaped me today. You know, so I went through some bad things, but I've learned a lot from it. You know, I've been appointed the ambassador to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence. You know, and when I visit schools, I talk about it. I talk about this to the boys and the girls. You know, if someone is doing you wrong in the very beginning, it's not a good sign. Follow your instincts.
If you pick one day out of your life that you want to relive again, which day would that be?
I think being back out on the football field playing football on a happy note.
On a sad note?
And then on a sad note, I think, wow, on a sad note, I would go back to the day when I was first raped.
You said first.
Yeah.
Was it more than one?
Yeah, it was. And in college, you know, by a family member, by my aunt's husband, just to be really, you know, transparent. And I would go back in time and change that. You know, I think I would really beat him up at this point instead of being scared. I was in shock and I was scared.
You think you had a choice?
I don't think anybody has a choice. You know what? That's such a tough question because had I not gone through that experience, I wouldn't be where I am today, possibly.
And many times we blame ourselves for those things.
Yeah.
That's why I'm curious. You said to change, assuming that you feel like you had some choice, which many times we don't.
We
in
don't.
in
But
a
I think it's the
situation like
blaming.
that.
That's the blaming part, you know, where I did blame myself for years. But I think as time goes on and you grow as a person and you become stronger by things that you go through in your life, I stop blaming myself. I know it isn't my fault. And I think that's probably why I'm where I know that's why where I am today, because it's some things that have transpired in my life. But that's what I want to do. I want to keep giving women voices. I want to help. I want to give voice to the voiceless. It's what I want to do.
Colette, thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Obviously, a very incredible episode of Power Women of Queens. And you can see more of Lucia and her guests. Should I say guests? On Queens Conversations. Live this Thursday, 3 p.m. Watch on QPTV.org. Live. This is QPTV Daily Social Live. Don't forget, as always, you could find us on social media. Watch us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. For the live stream, you can watch us right here on QPTV.org. You could also reach out to us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. Send us your questions, comments directly to media@QPTV.org. They'll come right to me, and I'll be happy to answer you back. Make sure you have your favorite channel set. I think that's what we'll do one day on a show. Remind me to show you how to set the favorites on your remote control. But I'll only show you if you promise to make sure you save your favorites on QPTV. We're on Spectrum, RCN, Verizon Fios. Go to QPTV.org anytime to get that lineup. Queens District Attorney Melinda Katz held a scam awareness and fraud protection webinar. Where's the video? A lot of technical problems today, folks. Let's see if we can get the video to play. Okay, we'll have to come back to that then. Before we bring that up, on Queen's Conversations, last episode, they had 2 representatives from Queens Historical Society, and they brought some amazing photos and stories about the history of Queens. And They also told us about some events coming up. So we're just going to bring that up for you right now while we try to get this clip going. Okay. Ooh, let's try it again. All right. It's playing. So again, Queens District Attorney Melinda Katz hosted a scam and fraud awareness protection webinar, which was incredibly informative and packed full of a lot of useful information. What we're going to do is show you a little clip, but if you go to qptv.org, you can watch the show in its entirety. Let's take a look.
Just gonna go live if we're
live.
ready. Okay, we're now live. Chief Conley, whenever you're ready.
Very good. Hello, and welcome to our Scam Awareness and Fraud Protection webinar. My name is Joseph Conley. I am the Chief of the Frauds Bureau at the Queens District Attorney's Office, and I will be the moderator for this evening's program. First, we have a few housekeeping items to go over. The chat function has been disabled for security purposes. Please use the question and answer function.
It really
on
is a
your
webinar.
Zoom
Let me skip
screen
ahead
to ask
so
any questions you may
you get a little
have.
more information
We will
within
have
the content.
Webinar and share
It's
some
just a preview.
information
You
that
have to
we
go to
hope is very valuable to you
qptv.org to
tonight.
watch. I can't play the whole
We come to
video
you
for you.
tonight and I speak to you why? Because scammers have no boundaries. Anyone is fair game. Scammers are thieves. They all have one goal in common, and that is to take money or property from an unsuspecting victim. As you sit here and listen to the various types of scams, you might think, well, how am I going to know if I am a victim of a scam? So I'd like to draw your attention to some signs that are common in no matter what scam is being implemented. You are likely going to be contacted by a stranger or an imposter. They will present their victim with a problem or the promise of a prize. There is always an urgency to act quickly, to keep it quiet, to act alone, to not talk to your family members or a trusted loved one about what is happening to you. And almost always there is a specific method by which the scammer is going to ask their victim to provide payment for something. Scams and frauds occur in many different ways. Scammers use the telephone, which is the most common way they target their victims. Imposters over the phone pretend to be family members, government officials, banks, credit card companies, financial institutions, the list goes on and on. They also use the internet. They gain access to emails, pretend to be entities or individuals that we all might be used to receiving emails from. They also use the postal service. A common way to make a first contact with a potential victim of a scam is by way of a mass mailing. They reach out to a victim and with a phone number or an email, and that person, because it sounds good, there might be some unsolicited free advice provided in that mailing. And so the victim thinks, why not reach out? Someone's willing to help me. And finally, there are some scammers left out there who are brazen enough to target their victims in person. One way that a scammer targets a person right in front of them is by ringing their doorbell, knocking on their door, wearing a uniform, purporting to be someone from a utility. Once they gain access to the person's home, they can gain all sorts of information from the individual. They can steal things from the location. And worst of all, they could commit violence against the individuals who are in that house. People knock on doors and offer home improvement services, free estimates, and lots of legal advice as to how to help a person that might be facing some difficulties. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about phone scams, since they are the most common way in which the fraudster is.
Go to QPTV.org to watch this incredibly informative webinar. Especially now with everything that's going on. There's a lot of confusion in the air, and there are people who are willing to take advantage of it and possibly take advantage of you. Please be careful, but it always helps to protect yourself, educate yourself. Watch this special right now on QPTV.org, or rather, wait till Daily Social Live is over. Check it out. Learn something. Protect yourself. Queensborough President Donovan Richards at his inaugural 2021 State of the Borough address, and it was on QPT and QPTV.org. And he outlined his vision for the borough of Queens. Let's take a little look. Been showing you little pieces here and there to get you a little enticed. Go to the website and check it out. So it's all here. Let's just jump ahead and see if we can look at a piece here. That's interesting. There we go. It's very buggy today. Let's skip ahead a little bit.
Queens was the epicenter of the epicenter. I can say that constantly. It is true. Just as the initial days of the crisis exposed our unique vulnerabilities, we continue to face difficult challenges. To witness the inequity across the board, look no further than our COVID-19 testing and vaccination programs. Predominantly immigrant neighborhoods like Richmond Hill and South Ozone Park have few testing sites other than the mobile units my office helped bring to the area. Also, neighborhoods in Northeast Queens went for a long time without having any vaccination sites nearby. I am grateful for the pop-up vaccination sites which open throughout Queens, and I'm especially grateful to the community-based organizations and public housing developments who host them. But getting our communities vaccinated starts right here at home with friends and family, encouraging each other to get their shots. That is why my office continues to work with our partners in city and state government to expand neighborhood sites. With approximately 140 languages spoken here in Queens, we need an exhaustive, multilingual, bottom-up outreach campaign to connect with folks who would otherwise go unseen. We also need to wage a campaign of trust, especially in the Black community. We know that overcoming generations of skepticism toward the government and medicine, getting back to the days of the Tuskegee experiment, is not an easy task. But we also know that our city's Black and Latinx communities, which make up more than 50% of our city's population, constitutes only 28% of those who've received.
So check that out. We've got the entire address. If you missed it, that's why we're here. QPTV.org. You can watch QPTV's original productions and anything that we feel is informative and vital for you, the viewer, and the creator, hopefully. Of course, in the sense that you're supplying us with programs. And if you want to know about that, go to qptv.org/create.
Today, we celebrate the first African-American man to be elected to the office of Queensborough President, who brings us hope and is making a difference in the borough of Queens. Queensborough President Donovan Richards. A man has not held the seat since 1986, and you're following behind Claire Schulman, Helen Marshall, Melinda Katz, and acting Queensborough President Sharon Lee. How did you feel when you won, and when did you know you wanted a career in politics?
Oh, I had big hills to fill, is what I say. When we think about the four last dynamic woman who held this seat, and it's truly an honor to be here as the borough president, and as you alluded to, the first Black man to hold this seat, which if you told me coming up that I would ever ascend to becoming the borough president, I would have probably said you're out of your mind.
It's QPTV's Daily Social Live. So, of course, we're bringing you the Daily Social today. What's going on in the world of social media? We brought this to you earlier, of course. Oh, look. How beautiful. Spring is just 5 days away. This is brought to you by the New York City Parks Department. Yes, it's chilly, but I mean, it's still beautiful. Sunny. That's good. And with the daylight savings time, you get a little more sunshine in the day, just less sleep. All right. What else have we here? This is from NYC Votes. Local elections matter. That's it. That's the tweet. Oh. And as the elections get closer, the primary and the general election will be bringing you as much information as possible so that you get all the information, especially with the new ranked choice voting system in place. We want to make sure you go in educated. And we also have, as I said before, NYC is providing in-home COVID-19 vaccinations. That's the Janssen or Johnson & Johnson vaccine to eligible NYC residents who are fully homebound, have not already been vaccinated, and do not already have access to a vaccination program. Go to that website on the screen, dial that number to find out more. Once again, please go to Facebook, our Facebook page, go to our YouTube page, our Twitch page. You can watch us on there, this program. You could also watch many other originals from QPTV. You can communicate with us, message us, become our friends. We're friendly. You could also do the same on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. Though it's not the same nomenclature, you know, you follow. Just make sure whatever it takes to keep up with us, you do it. Then you can send us an email, media@qptv.org. Questions, comments, ideas, throw them at me. We're right here. And again, turn on your channels on your TV, because it's much more than what you could find on the website anytime. That's where you'll see our complete lineup of programs from not just me or the people at QPTV, but you, your neighbors, the people you follow. They're right there. And you can become a part of it too. Just go to qptv.org/create. Go to qptv.org/learn. Go to qptv.org/watch to do all of those things. Turn that down for a second. Okay, QPTV presents this amazing program, Queen's Perspective Spotlight, with host Rosalind Nieves. She discusses the recent wave of violence against Asian Americans with Senator John Liu and City Council member Peter Koo. Let's take a look, a little preview at this episode.
Nieves, welcome to Queen's Perspectives. Violence against Asian Americans began with the political rhetoric of the pandemic and kept spiking with 3,000 incidents across the nation. The New York Times reports that hate crimes involving Asian American victims soared in New York City last year. Officials are grappling with the problem even as new incidents occur. Here with me is Senator John Liu. He is serving the 11th Senate District, representing a broad area of Northeast Queens. John, thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you, Rosalind, and thanks to QPTV for always putting this kind of programming on that really inform the residents of Queens on the latest issues. And I wish we didn't have to have this discussion, honestly, but it's important.
I agree. And we worked together for so many years. I'm just grateful that you had it in your time to do this today. So let's talk about the hatefulness that's been going on in New York City. The surveillance videos of Maggie Chen's mom being shoved to the ground in Flushing, to the man being stabbed near Chinatown, to Noel Quintana being slashed on the train with a box cutter. Has your phone been ringing off the hook because of all of the insanity?
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, it's nowadays it's ringing off the hook, or email boxes being jammed, texts coming in, and also lots of inquiries and complaints and reports by social media. As you mentioned before, Rosalind, hate crimes against Asian Americans are up. According to the NYPD, 1,900% between 2009 and 2020. And we also, and as you also mentioned, thousands and thousands of cases all across this country, far more than we have seen before. There is clearly a spike, and it's clear also that there's a strong correlation between that and what we have been suffering through in the coronavirus. Now, COVID-19 hit us a little more than a year ago, and the entire country, indeed the world, has been enduring this global pandemic. But the Asian American community has faced a secondary virus, that of bigotry and hate. And that has been in no less, that is largely due to the rhetoric that we have heard around the country, emanating primarily from the then White House, where the former president, despite the pleas and also the concerns voiced not only by community leaders and advocates, but by his own health policy professionals, global leaders who are experts in epidemiology and the pandemic, saying that it would be unfair and derogatory and a misplaced scapegoating to call it the China virus. But Trump continued to do it, continued to call it the Chinese virus or the Kung flu. And that, in no small part, inflamed the rhetoric as well as outright hate that Asian Americans have suffered from. You mentioned a couple of cases. We by now everybody's seen on
this
TV
is another
and on social media.
Incredibly
the video.
Incredibly important episode to watch of Queen's Perspectives Spotlight, and go to QPTV.org as soon as you can to watch this important program. This week at NASA.
Perseverance sends more sounds from Mars. The rocket boosters for Artemis 1 are all stacked up, and preview of a weekend spacewalk. A few of the stories to tell you about this week at NASA. Our Mars Perseverance rover has beamed back more sounds it has collected since landing on the Red Planet on February 18th. In this latest batch of recordings made by the rover's SuperCam instrument, you can hear the first acoustic recording of a rock on Mars being struck by a laser. The rock was given the name Maz, the Navajo word for Mars. Some of the zapping sounds from the laser impacts are slightly louder than others. The variations in the intensity of the sounds can give researchers clues about the physical structure of the target. The SuperCam also recorded sounds of Martian wind noise captured while the mast that holds the rover's microphone was still stowed. The muffled sounds are reminiscent of what one might hear listening into a seashell at the beach or with a hand cupped over an ear. You can check out these sounds for yourself along with other sounds of exploration at nasa.gov/sounds. Engineers at our Kennedy Space Center have completed stacking the Space Launch System, or SLS, solid rocket boosters for our uncrewed Artemis 1 mission around the moon and back. The twin booster segments were stacked onto the mobile launcher over the course of several weeks. Following a successful hot fire test at our Stennis Space Center, now targeted for March 18th, the SLS's core stage will be shipped to Kennedy and stacked with the boosters and our Orion spacecraft in preparation for Artemis 1. The International Space Station's 5th spacewalk of the year is slated for March 13th. During the outing, NASA's Michael Hopkins and Victor Glover are scheduled to service and relocate some jumper cables of the station's thermal control system, continue some work from a January 27th spacewalk, and work on some other tasks. The outing is the 4th spacewalk for Glover and the 5th for Hopkins. NASA astronaut Mark Vande Hei has been assigned to the International Space Station's Expedition 6465 crew. He and cosmonauts Oleg Novitsky and Pyotr Dubrov of the Russian space agency Roscosmos are scheduled to launch April 9th from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. A collaboration between NASA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and George Mason University is making high-resolution NASA data on soil moisture available to agricultural and natural resources professionals who use soil moisture and other data to plan crop planting, forecast yields, track droughts or floods, and improve weather forecasts. The Crop Condition and Soil Moisture Analytics tool makes data from our Soil Moisture Active Passive mission and the Moderate Resolution Imaging Spectroradiometer instrument available in a user-friendly format. We teamed with American Aerospace Technologies Incorporated for a recent demonstration flight to simulate aerial inspections of gas and petroleum pipelines. NASA, the Federal Aviation Administration, and 3 industry partners are working together on demonstrations like this to show potential commercial applications of different-sized unmanned aircraft systems used in various locations and airspace classes. This research aims to accelerate the safe integration of these aerial vehicles for commercial applications into the national airspace system. That's what's up this week at NASA. For more on these and other stories, follow us on the web at nasa.gov/twan.
You can find out about all of the live and special programs QPTV will be presenting from now until whenever. We'll always have programs for you. Subscribe to QPTV's newsletter, qptv.org/newsletter. We're almost halfway with this thing working out with the information, the text that I'm reading to you. If I could memorize it all, I would. I can't. So in the meantime, we'll continue with what we have. Playing around, testing it out now. It seems to be working. Let's continue. This week, coming up on Daily Social Live, we'll have more about this week's Queen's Conversations. We'll have more on Women's History Month. We'll have more from Queens District Attorney Katz's webinar. I'll be telling you about another event coming up. And we'll be bringing you more from social media. We'll be bringing you more award-winning programs from our production team. We'll be telling you more about QPTV's programs, not the shows, but the programs we offer, like our training programs, community bulletin board, public service announcements, and a lot more. And we'll be happy to explain it, take your questions. That's what we're here for. And while we're here and we're discussing the bulletin board, we'll get into that. Down. So the bulletin board, it offers Queens-based not-for-profit organizations a free outlet to provide the community with announcements. QPTV's Community Bulletin Board is available to all Queens-based organizations with a 501c3 status. If that's your organization, go to qptv.org/cbb and send us information about your events, workshops, and other organization happenings. Make sure to send us the completed request at least 3 weeks prior to the date of the event. Visit qptv.org CBB for more information. And with that, that's pretty much the end of the show. I would love to bring you more, but it's getting late and I need to turn all this stuff off, run some tests, do some diagnostics, see what happened to today's show while, this is what this is about. Now, when you see us flashing everywhere on the website, Watch Daily Social Live, we're ready to not have to run these tests all the time. But I think the testing part is the most fun part because you get to try different things, see what works. I guess that's the way my mind works. I like to experiment with all of these things. It's sort of the building part of it that's the most fun for me. And I think that's what a lot of people love about QPTV is that it's television, but really what it is, it's about everything leading up to that part where you're watching a program or that program. It's the learning about creating programs. It's the planning. It's working with the crew. It's about looking at what you've done and trying to piece it together like a puzzle when you edit. It's about learning about lighting and sound and learning how to craft. Video is a lot more than just pointing and recording. It's a craft. And it's not something that you can pick up so easily by observing. You got to get your hands on. You need people to sort of critique your work. You need people to help you out. Even this show, which is primarily me, it can't be done without the rest of the crew and the rest of the staff at QP. So obviously this is QP TV show and we're so happy that you tuned in because we'll be back tomorrow with more on what you should know from Queens Public Television because we can't do this without you. In fact, we're here for you. We want you to become part of our in real life social network. Go to qptv.org to find out how to watch, learn, and create with QPTV. Tell your friends about us, share, and subscribe. Stay safe and be well. Oh. Buggy today, folks. Buggy today. The show's over.